Now, they've been an incredibly rare sight in our region for the past 20 years, but today, water voles are back, at least in one river in Essex.
Over the next few weeks, 300 of them are being reintroduced to the River Colne near Colchester after being moved from the site of a massive port development in the south of the county. Tom Barton has this report.
After several weeks in captivity, this water vole is on the verge of freedom once again, ready to be released into the River Colne near Colchester. Like the others being released today, this was its home until recently, the London Gateway port development on the River Thames. The developer was required to find a new home for the water voles and chose this part of Essex.
Yeah, legislation states that obviously we have to protect the water voles, but we've worked with Darren Tansley from Essex Wildlife Trust for about the last 18 months to find the perfect site to relocate the animals so they have the best habitat and obviously they can survive in the wild rather than having an artificial site to be on.
After being let out of their cages and checked over, the voles are put into a tube and then released into specially constructed pens.
The base of the pen doesn't have anything on it, so she's got to burrow down to get out. The whole of the pen is this sort of aluminium. And then she'll burrow out down the bottom. She'll probably come out somewhere down the bank side there. And she's got a burrow system to come back into if she feels threatened by any predators.
There haven't been any water voles on the River Colne for 30 years, following a massive national population crash of more than 90% since 1990. Today, though, marks the beginning of the reintroduction of the animals to this stretch of water. Over 4 miles, 300 will be reintroduced. The experts hope that the water voles will settle into their new home and soon become a common sight all along this river. Tom Barton, Anglia News on the River Colne in Essex.
They're rather sweet, aren't they? A High Court ruling today appears to have put another nail in the coffin of Norwich City Council's hope of becoming a unitary super council. A judge decided the last government had acted unlawfully in granting unitary status to Norwich. The City Council say they're disappointed but will not take the matter any further. The new coalition government had already said they wanted to scrap the plans anyway. The court decision could now mean council elections will have to be held in the near future.
The former Suffolk MP, John Gummer, has made his debut in the House of Lords. Mr Gummer was a Conservative MP for more than 30 years and is now Lord Deben of Winston in the county of Suffolk. He took his seat today and was sworn in.
I, John, Lord Deben, do swear by Almighty God that I will be...
Lord Deben was made a peer after stepping down as an MP at last month's general election. The leading boats in the Round Britain and Ireland yacht race have begun arriving in Lowestoft.
It's the final stopping off point before the race finishes in Plymouth. More than 50 yachts are competing. Recent conditions have been tough for the two-man cruise, as Malcolm Robertson reports.
She was the race leader and was ahead of the rest of the field by 5.5 hours. Today, though, as she pulled into Lowestoft, the crew of the Trimaran Paradox felt even sicker than England's football team. A victim of mountainous seas that had posed a problem for all the boats competing in the Round Britain and Ireland race. She limped in several hours after the current leaders.
Overnight they pulled 5 boats in, one got stuck on a sandbank. This boat, 591 at the moment, is got a problem with its auxiliary engine and wouldn't get into the harbour under its own sail.
The lead may have disappeared, but the crew were just happy to be in one piece.
The wind we could handle, but the waves went from 15 feet to 20 feet to 25 feet. And at that point, the boat began accelerating down the waves at sort of uncontrollable speed. And the dangers is to hit the bottom of the wave and flip forwards.
This is the race leader, Sunguard Front Arena. She's some 2.5 hours ahead of the nearest challenger, Fujifilm. It could be several days before all the yachts arrive in Lowestoft.
It is a fantastic race in all respects because since you go around the British Isles and Ireland in a circle, you are bound to face all possible conditions.
The boats have to stay in port for 48 hours before setting off for Plymouth. The crew of Paradox are just hoping the final leg will be rather less eventful. Malcolm Robertson, Anglia News, Lowestoft.
Now, if England failed to inspire football fans last Friday in the World Cup, the same can't be said of the rugby team. They beat Australia by 21 points to 20 in Sydney, with Norwich-born scrum half Ben Youngs playing a starring role. Youngs marked his first senior start with England's opening try. The 20-year-old now plays for Leicester, but is a product of North Walsham Rugby Club. His dad, Nick, who played 7 times for England, farms in Norfolk and said it was a proud moment for the family.
We were in there absolutely delirious. I was about a metre away from the television, jumping up and down, absolutely ecstatic, and you know, still pretty much on a high today, but it was a great day and a moment I shall never forget.
No doubt about the surprise result of the Football World Cup so far. That was New Zealand's 1-1 draw with reigning champions Italy. And a bittersweet experience for New Zealand and Ipswich Town defender Tommy Smith. The 20-year-old shared in the joy of the Kiwis taking the lead, but then gave away a penalty from which Italy equalised. Nevertheless, New Zealand held on and they still have a chance of progressing further.
Now, the desire to know more about the food we eat has never been greater, and more